It is June 2011, 1 year before Alex and his father moved to Kandrid. We see the nerdy kid Willie walking through the halls of Hansa High, his eyes fixated on his handheld game console. Suddenly, he bumped into something. It was Nathan. Willie had accidentally wandered into the gym of the school. The towering jock cracked his knuckles and smiled as he saw the scared nerd looking up at him. A few minutes later, Rodney entered the gym.
Wow!
Willie ran past him, who had been on the receiving end of an atomic wedgie.
Yo, Rodney, over here.
Hey, man, what's going on?
Something important, it seems. The boss said that she's got something special to share with everyone at HQ.
How special are we talking about?
Not sure, but it must be big. I mean, she's keeping it rather secret. That's gotta mean something, right?
Okay, now I'm curious. When's the meeting?
An hour away from now. You wanna ditch?
Sure, let's go.
The two leave the school and jump into Nathan's busted up, old, but still functional car and drive away. The two jocks drove through the midst of the Hansa district, which, since the town's founding, had been the heart of the city's industry, and it showed. Big factories, lots of electricity lines, and even more Plattenbau-style buildings to house the thousands of workers who were the very blood of this industrial heart. However, a ruin peeked out from under the alive buildings and houses every so often, reminding the people just where in the world they are, and what it once was. Eventually they drove onto the main road, where they soon would find themselves on the big highway bridge leading into East Kandrid, where they entered the district of Greifheide, which, despite its very German name, was home of mostly Eastern Europeans, and it showed. The Soviet area buildings were a dead giveaway for anyone for just where its inhabitants came from. Not to mention the almost ancient ruins that decorated some of the shops. Finally, they would arrive on their home turf, the Fracture Yard. Here, the big Soviet-style buildings were mostly replaced by smaller houses, some in better shape than others. The one building, or buildings, that stood out the most were those of the massive Ernst F. Heiche Hospital, which eagerly was awaiting new unfortunate souls to open its doors to. But this was not where the boys were heading to, yet. Instead, they took a turn and drove into the wooded area of the Fracture Yard, and eventually arrived at an old run-down sports field. Its outer walls had been reinforced with all kinds of materials, creating ideal defenses in case of an attack. The two parked their car outside alongside the other cars, bikes, and so on, waiting there for their owners to return. A few guards stood watch at the gate, who happily let the two jocks into their little fortress. Without further ado, they headed inside and were greeted by loud music blasting through the air and the sounds of people having fun. Rodney looked around to see his fellow sports using the old field to their heart's content. Be it foosball, rugby, basketball, or even cricket. But alongside the sports activities, there was a makeshift dance floor, a popularity wall, where Rodney and Nathan ranked number 4 and 5 respectively. There was also a shooting and melee range, and a whole bunch of old buildings, all looking to have seen better days. One was turned into a smoking lounge and cocktail bar, one big one into a sort of barracks, a small gym, one smaller building as a command center, and, most interestingly for the two boys, a normal bar. There they met Trev, an old friend of theirs.
Hey dudes, the usual?
Make it 2 smokes, Trev. Something big is happening today. I want 1 extra for the occasion.
Oh yeah, I've heard. Everyone can barely keep their mouths shut about it.
What do you think it could be?
I'd say a renovation.
Renovation?
Yeah, we need it now more than ever. I mean, I'm mostly just keeping the drinks on the ground now, because I don't think the old cupboard won't survive another day. Told you so. This entire place is falling apart, so I hope that Jolene is gonna announce a renovation.
And who do you think will do the renovating? Have you seen half these clones we're working with? Most of them are posh kids from Bluebell Hills, living off the cash off their papa's pocket. They never worked a day in their life. And you expect them to fix this place up?
Well, I guess we have no other option, really.
Man, I miss the days where it was just us fractures. I feel like ever since Jolene came to power, we've been getting weaker the more numbers we got.
Excuse me, lowlife. What did I just hear come out of your mouth?
Oh, it's you. What are you doing here? I thought you said you were too good for my bar.
Well, Victoria called in sick today, so she can't serve drinks. Yours is the only other bar around here, so...
Well then, Lawrence, what would you like to order?
Schnapps. The good kind of schnapps. I'm talking premium raspberry from the Rhineland.
I think you're in the wrong place, bud. Why don't you go ask the here if they got some?
Ugh, this is why I never come here. Look, do you have something that can be considered drinkable or not?
I got beer.
And?
You expect this to be some Mile High Club? Look around you. It's a wonder some fine high-class sack of air like you hasn't walked out here the second he stepped into it.
What did you just say?
High-class sack of air.
You best watch your tongue, boy.
Or what? You're gonna call daddy and get the cops on me because I hurt your precious fifis?
Hey, lowlife. Tone!
Oh look, here comes the cavalry. Don't you normally arrive with riders?
Drop it, jerkface. Don't let us do something you won't like.
What, rally up your 5 followers in Aesthetica?
Hey, I have way more than that. And they are gonna tear your face off. You don't know what my fans are capable of.
Oh, I can only imagine.
You got a problem, jerkface?
Yeah, it's standing right beside me. It's a real ugly one, too.
You want these nails digging into your skin?
Better not. I bet you don't want to ruin them.
Okay, guys, we had our fun.
Shut up, Monobrow. Now you. You leave her alone. Got it? Or else I'm gonna break your face.
With what? You don't want to get those hands dirty, do ya?
Hey, is there a problem here?
No.
Oh, it's nothing. Just the scum acting scummy again.
Hey, watch who you're calling scum, fine boy.
Why? Can't handle the truth?
I'll crush your head in.
Guys, stop!
Come on then. Let us throw hands.
That's enough. What do you think you are doing? You're acting like a bunch of untamed kindergartners.
But...
I'm talking. You zip it. Everything must be in order around here. And with this constant fighting, you're doing nothing but cause chaos and unrest in our lines. You don't seem to understand that we need to hold it together? We're a team. It doesn't matter which district you're from or what your income is. No one cares. You're an equal, and there are no special little snowflakes around here. We either stand united or fall divided. Have I made myself clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. I hope you all remember that. Now, back to business. There is a reason I called you all here. You may have noticed that our little slice of paradise seems to be quite literally falling apart. And I have heard your concerns about it. However, I must inform you that we lack the resources to properly fix this place up. But worry not. This is all about to change. But first, we need to get our hands dirty. The Union possesses exactly what we need. The here territories are filled to the brim with supplies and tools, which we can use to build a completely new Kandrid to our tastes. The Five Oaks territories are full of intoxicants, which we could sell for a steadily sustainable profit. And not to forget those 2000s, whose infrastructure tops ours by a great length and is also the home of someone who greatly betrayed you a year ago. Let's not forget that. It may sound like an unthinkable task at first, but we got something the other factions don't have. And, for a matter of fact, that's you. Each one of you is a great fighter, some raised by the streets, some others by the ruthless struggle that is capitalism. My brothers and sisters from the fracture yard. The Union doesn't know the things we've been through. They don't know us. They don't care about us. They pride themselves on their well-being and income. While we had none of that. My brothers and sisters from the Bluebell Hills, the Union thinks it could easily take over your turf and just take whatever they want, spreading their venom while laughing at you. So I say, we go out there and show them what we got, that they're wrong, that they are weak. We'll show them that in this city, it's survival of the fittest, and start an age of prosperity for the sports, the likes of which you've never seen before. And I will lead you to it. Victory is ours! Victory is ours! Today we prepare and tomorrow we're going to war. The briefing starts tomorrow at 8 a.m. Be there or you'll miss it. I will see you tomorrow.
I gotta give her this. She knows how to hold a good speech.
Ain't that the truth? I'm all fired up. I could move a mountain with all the energy I got.
Well, it's best to save it for tomorrow, dude. 'Cause this sure ain't gonna be easy.
Borderline impossible would describe it better.
Huh?
You heard me right. Impossible.
Why do you say that, dude?
Think, Rodney. We're about to face the entirety of here and Five Oak by ourselves. You really think victory is in the card for us? Not to mention half of our force is composed of rich kids that never held a rifle before.
Well, he's got a point, dude.
Oh, come on, guys. Where's your fighting spirit? Back then, we were thrilled when danger showed up in our face. What happened?
What happened is that times have changed. Back then, we didn't need to worry about rockets raining down on us or flamethrowers burning us to a crisp. This isn't the same as running away from the teachers or from the cops. We're talking about trained soldiers and armed-to-the-teeth gangsters here. And I'm sorry to say, but I don't think we stand a chance against them.
Well, that's where I think you're wrong. Even if it's still the hardest challenge to overcome, I still think we can do it.
Rodney!
Look, I'm not that dumb. I know the odds have been kind of stacked against us, but when they haven't been, think about it. School, home, they always have. But we managed to push through no matter how hard it is. And this, well, this is nothing really. We've been through so many unfair situations, and we got out of them. Maybe with a few scratches and maybe an arrest, but we still managed to pull it off. The only thing that is different is the change we could make. Trev, your bar could be repaired, and so could our base. And Nathan, if the Bluebells see us fighting, they may be inspired to fight just as well as us, making them more like us. Come on. I know myself it's not going to be easy, but we have to take the chance. For the sports.
For the sports.
For the sports.
Right on. We can do this, guys. We should prepare for tomorrow. It's going to be a long day.
Yeah, you're right. Say, you want to hit the gym?
Sure. You coming too, Trev?
Nah, I'm good. I gotta stay here just in case there's like a pre-war party later on. But maybe I can fix up some firebombs.
Sounds good. See you tomorrow.
Bye, man.
Yeah, bye.
With that settled, we turn our attention to the west end of town, specifically the resort, where the members of the Here and 2000s were enjoying a warm summer day at one of the beaches of the Tolzin Lake. We settle on Ricky, who was lying in a sun chair with a drink of Comets in hand and sunglasses on his face.
Enjoying yourself?
Ricky looked up to see a smiling Sofia greet him.
Very much. This is the life. I can only say it again, boss. You picked us a nice slice of paradise.
Thanks. I'm just glad to give something back to you guys.
Sofia?
Sofia turned to see Albert, a general of the Here, behind her. He was a fit young man with black hair, who, like most higher-ups of the faction, was overly well dressed for the occasion.
Hey Albert, what's up?
I need to talk to you. Come to my office. It's urgent.
Okay.
She turned back to Ricky.
I gotta go. I'll be back.
He nodded in response before turning his attention back to the lake. They arrived in the communications center, which also served as Albert's office, as well as his command post. It was full of filing cabinets, filled to the brim with sensitive information, such as battle plans and maps.
So, what's happening?
I'm afraid something terrible is about to unfold. Lately, my men have spotted a few of your members taking pictures in and around the resort, mainly of the gate, wall, and 3rd Company's barracks. One of the boys even reported a figure in the armory, but when he went to check, nobody was there. At first, we didn't give it much thought. We figured they were just taking pictures of the scenery or that we were just being paranoid. But then we noticed that the people taking the photos never returned back here.
Are you saying that we're being spied on?
Most likely. The most unnerving fact is that the HQ also had its share of a guy coming to take pictures of the main gate. He ran away when the guards noticed him. Even the families reported suspicious figures roaming their streets and taking photos. They're staking us out.
Any clue who they might be?
Think, Sofia.
How long do you think we have?
I don't know. A day or month, I'm not sure. I already told my men to dig in and be on high alert. You should do the same.
I guess you're right.
Sofia steps out of the center and onto the veranda, where she rung a bell to get her members' attention with a heavy heart. In seconds, both here and 2000s arrive to see what the commotion was about.
I have some bad news, everyone. There is no sugarcoating it. We're going to be at war soon. I know, the sports are coming for us, and we can't say for certain when. I also have to inform you that we may have a couple of moles in our group. They have been taking pictures of the resort's defenses and also the bases of our allies. I need you to be wary and prepare if an attack is imminent. I'm sorry it has come to this.
The crowd murmured in disbelief and denial over the depressing statement from Sofia.
You're not one for speeches, huh?
Not if it's bad news.
Let me try. My friends of the 2000s, war is on the horizon once more. The sports are threatening our communities, threatening our way of life, and want to take all the great things you have built up away from you. I won't lie. There are dark times ahead of us, but we are here to bring the light. Soldiers of the 3rd Company, as you all know, the sports have tyrannized the poor souls in and out of our schools for years now. But you have been training years to finally put an end to it. This is what we have been waiting for all this time. Now we are making our stand. Our stand is to crush their tyranny once and for all. They believe that this town belongs to them, and only them. Well, let me tell you, that you will punish them for thinking that. If they want to fight, we'll give them a fight from which they'll never recover from. Soldaten of the 3rd Company, are you with me? For Kandrid, for the 2000s, for Deutschland!
Albert turned to Sofia.
You're welcome.
He then headed back into his office, leaving a stumped and saddened Sofia alone. We return into the fracture yard, specifically Jolene's office. Unlike Albert's well-organized and well-kept work environment, Jolene seemed to imply that anything goes in her domain. Among the chaos, rubbish was lying everywhere, posters were plastered all over the cracked walls, and there was even a collection of old chewing gum smeared under her desk. Ew. Nothing of this fazed the young woman, who was too busy getting her fingers out of a Chinese finger trap. Suddenly, her peace was interrupted by a knock at the door.
Come in.
A young woman with 2 guards following her entered.
Nina, have a seat. What do you have for me?
They know, boss.
Did anyone get caught?
Don't think so. But they're already preparing.
Stupid. Come on.
The finger trap, just as its name implied, wouldn't let go of Jolene's fingers.
Boys, a little help, please.
One of the guards came up to help her get the trap off.
Thanks. Okay, change of plans. Tell the other spies to infiltrate the enemy lines and sabotage anything that might be of value to them. You'll start at midnight. The fate of the assault rests on your shoulders.
Got it. We won't disappoint you, boss.
I do hope so. Good luck to you and the rest. Go on, get!
Nina leaves, the guards following her. As soon as they did, Jolene picked up the finger trap once more and began fidgeting with it again. Back with Rodney and Nathan, we rejoin them as they sit on the roof of the colourful high-rise office complex, Kaiserium, one of the tallest buildings in Kandrid, which moments before they had sneaked onto. From up there, they could see all the way to the city's core, and admire it and the rest of Kandrid's beauty. With a cool six-pack of beer beside them, they enjoyed the last hours of the day, as well as the last hours of peace together.
Man, what a town, huh? Soon, this will all be ours.
You're talking like you don't know that it already is. Always has been.
Completely forgot. Say, do you have any plans of your own after the war's won?
Well, we definitely gotta fix up the base's gym. The equipment we got there is old and rusty, and we have no real proper way to store it. Just imagine. New and shiny equipment in a 3-story building all year free of charge. Protected from the elements. That's the plan for me if we get the materials. What about you?
Better beds for the barracks. I lost count of how many times I got bitten by the bed bugs.
Ugh, ain't it the truth? Are you also gonna build new heaters too?
Oh, for sure. But not just that. Running water, ovens, new furniture, and more electricity. We're gonna make a palace out of the moldy barracks we have now.
Sounds like paradise. We'd never have to go home again.
Sounds wonderful, doesn't it?
Yep.
Oh man, tomorrow can't come soon enough. The sooner we win this war, the sooner we're fixing up that place.
I just hope it will be a swift victory.
Oh, trust me, those gangsters and the Krauts, they don't stand a chance against us.
Amen, brother.
Back at the resort, the soldaten of the Here had begun to dig themselves in. By this point, it was in the late evening, with the sun almost having vanished from the heavens above. We see an experienced soldat looking out of a trench and through his binoculars into the woods in front of him. Beside him, his lesser experienced comrade continued digging the trench, with dirt flying directly into the first soldaten's face.
Whoops. Sorry.
Are you about done now, Soldat Leo?
No, stop, Scrifighter Eric. Not yet. I don't think it's deep enough yet.
Soldat Leo pulls a long ladder out of the trench and puts it away. Stabsgefreiter Erich picks up a small rock and drops it into the hole Leo had dug up.
Well, I think it is. You've just hit ground water, kid. Now stop goofing around and help me keep a lookout for the bad guys.
What do they look like?
Imagine a mountain of muscles.
Oh. Ew.
Then suddenly, they turn around to hear what all the commotion was about, only to see a young woman climbing over the wall and damaging her clothes as she hurried over the barbed wire. She sprinted right towards the trench Erich and Leo sat in. She went to jump, but stumbled and fell into the hole Leo had dug up. Shocked, the two soldaten looked to see the scared young woman clinging onto dear life inside the hole. Erich grabbed her hand, but hesitated to pull her up.
Help me.
Why should we?
Please. I don't want to die.
You should have seen this coming when you volunteered to be a spy.
Please. I can tell you everything you need to know. Just please pull me up.
Why should we trust you?
I'm in no position to bargain. Please.
Okay, we'll pull you up. But if you try to run, I will throw you back down there. Got it?
Yes. Please pull me up.
He managed to pull the terrified girl out of the hole, more soldaten rushing towards them. The spy was shaky and could barely stand straight. She was so scared.
Get her some handcuffs and a blanket. I think Alfred would like to have a chat with her.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, kid, looks like your shenanigans just caught us a spy.
Thanks. Say, were you gonna let her drop if she didn't comply?
Nope, I couldn't have. If the sports figure out we killed one of their own, they would surely retaliate, and we can't let that happen. I just tested her a bit. Now that she's in shock, she'll spill the beans easily. In these times, you gotta be a little bit rougher. This is war, after all. Remember that, Leo. Now try to get some sleep. I have the feeling something's gonna happen soon, and I need you well rested.
Will do. Good night, Eric.
A few minutes later, we cut to the spy sitting in Albert's office, two soldaten watching her closely. One of her hands was chained to the table, while her free one was holding the soft blanket that covered her freezing, in-fear body. Eventually, the door opened, and Albert stepped inside, bearing a trench coat, which he proceeded to take off and hang over his chair, before sitting down at his desk opposite the spy.
Give us some privacy, please.
The soldaten left, leaving the both alone in the room.
Who are you, kid?
Paula Mills.
What are you doing here?
I was sent to conduct reconnaissance.
Is that all? Then how come you've broken into our armory and knocked out 2 of my men?
I was told to manipulate your lines.
Who told you?
I'm not allowed to say that. I'd be dead for real if they found out. In fact, I already told you too much.
For how long have you been doing this kind of work?
A week, Max.
No offense, but that explains your sloppiness. I can tell you're an amateur, but I gotta give you this. You got guts. I can see why your employers hired you for the job.
Albert took out a small water bottle from one of his cupboards and placed it next to Paula.
Water?
Thanks.
So, what are you planning on doing now?
I don't know, but I can't go back. They'll find me. They know where I live. I can't even go back home.
You can stay here. There's plenty of space in the women's barracks.
Huh? No, I can't stay here. They'll break every bone in my body. If they figure out I deserted...
How would you know that your employers would do that?
They...
It's okay. Take your time.
I wasn't always a part of them, and I never would have been, but I was one of their victims. They called me names, threw garbage at me, stuck me into trash cans, and gave me wedgies. I thought, if I act like them, they'll leave me alone. So, one day, I grabbed the nearest yob with glasses I could find and stuck him into a locker. I didn't want to do it, but I couldn't take their harassing anymore.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Right after, some of them came to me, congratulating me, saying I did the right thing, rooting out the weak. They invited me to join them. I took it. After a few weeks, I volunteered to be a spy. And you know the rest. That's how I know what they do to people. I don't want to imagine what awaits you. Or me now.
If you want to stay here, the offer still stands. Would it reassure you if I promised that would protect you?
Protect me? Really?
Yes.
Thank you. If that's the case, maybe I could help in return.
What do you have in mind?
I can tell you what I know about their plans.
You have my attention.
Okay. I know that some of the other spies are currently sabotaging hair and family infrastructure. We were tasked with destroying or disabling anything that could be of use to you. so the troops would have an easier time assaulting your positions.
Do you know where the other spies are?
Probably at your HQ and your outposts in West Kandrid. There should also be a few at key locations in Five Oak.
Is anyone else here?
I don't think so. Usually only one spy goes in here at a time to avoid suspicion. I was only ordered here just a few hours ago before sunset. I spent most of my time scouting out the families.
What do you mean by scouting?
Taking pictures and taking notes of defensive structures. We were ordered to send the pictures to a number and delete its contact afterward, and then delete the pictures.
Do you know when the troops will attack?
No. Only a select few spies know about it. Although I heard Jolene gave some kind of speech today.
Jolene. Jolene Postman, right?
Yeah. She's our leader.
Do you know anything else?
No. That's all I know. When I volunteered, I only had a small briefing. Take pictures, stay vigilant, be cautious, and so on.
Thank you, Paula. You helped us a lot today.
Hey, I have to apologize for the trouble I caused.
Don't mention it. But you may want to save the apologies for the guards you knocked out.
I will. You know, you hair guys don't seem that bad, to be honest.
Don't know who would have told you otherwise.
Albert rung a small bell sitting on his desk, and the 2 soldier 10 from before entered once more.
Men, please take the cuffs off of the young lady and prepare her a bed in the woman's barracks.
Thank you.
The soldier 10 led Paula away, leaving Albert alone. He turned around to grab something off of his trench coat's pocket. It was a small tape recorder, which he proceeded to pause. He then turned to his important red telephone on the right side and called a number on it.
Otto, we need to talk.
The next day arrived quickly, especially for Jolene, who was busy making final plan preparations for her grandeur attack only hours from now. One of the high-ranking members, Nicole, and 2 guards were keeping her company. Well, somewhat. Both were still asleep on their chairs. Suddenly, another guard slammed open the front door, looking very panicked.
Boss, we have a problem.
You do know it's rude to enter a room without knocking first. Especially a ladies' room, right?
But there's...
Oh, no, we're doing this again. You're going back out, and you're gonna knock before you enter.
But boss, fine.
He reluctantly headed back out and closed the door behind him before knocking.
The nerve of some people. Come in, please. Hey, Jacob, what's going on?
2 of our spies have been captured.
Oh. It's fine. No matter. We can still do this.
You all right, boss?
Oh, yeah. Just dandy. I'm just a bit excited. Hey, mind if I have a moment for myself to assert my excitement?
Are you really feeling all right?
I'm feeling fine. Now get out.
Jacob booked it out of the room like he was being hunted by a wild pack of dogs.
You 2 out. Now.
The other 2 guards, now awake, looked bewildered at their leader. So was Nicole. They all hurried towards the door, only to not get through as they tried to run outside at the same time, causing them to be stuck. Jolene resolved this little problem by literally kicking them out before leaning herself against the door and rubbing the sides of her head slowly. Then she curled herself into a ball and began to sob. A few hours later, we cut to Rodney holding a small piece of paper in his hand, with the letter B written onto it. He was standing in a large crowd of sports members, who all had a piece of paper in their hands as well.
Yo, Rodney!
Hey, man.
What letter did you get?
B.
Ah, C. Bummer. Well, guess it is what it is.
Attention!
The sports all looked up front when Nicole, as well as 2 other high-ranking sports members, were standing in front of a big whiteboard. One of the other members began placing the drawn-up battle plans onto the whiteboard.
Okay, listen up, everyone. Here's the plan. You will be divided into groups of 4. Army Group A, led by me, will be attacking Blucher, the heart of the Heer. They got the whole district basically locked down with a lot of outposts all around and patrols roaming it. So that means we'll have to be quick to capture as much territory as we can in 2 directions. One group will be attacking Outpost Sverin, while the other will attack Outpost Varen. While Group A is busy with securing southern Blucher, Army Group D, led by Olivia, stationed in the Bluebell Hills, will attack northern Blucher, forcing the Heer to fight on 2 fronts in the district. If successful, our groups will link up at the Horseshoe Lake in the west, where we'll stage the steps for the final push. We'll then surround the main HQ and attack from all sides. Wire cutters and ladders will be brought to you by the rear echelon. Army Group B will be led by James, who will attack through Brenda and into the 2000s base. Split up into 2 groups. One will keep watch for any reinforcements that the Heer may send, and watch the flank, using the tree line as cover. The other will be attacking the base itself. They've probably dug themselves in by now, so be careful, since the forest provides the stationed Heer company with a natural defense. You will need to move carefully and make as little sound as possible when approaching the base. Use the trees and bushes to your advantage. We will also equip a few of the attacking group with bunker buster grenade throwers, so you can knock down the gate. Army Group C, led by Marvin, will attack the district of Five Oak. The families won't be happy about us invading their territory, so you'll have to move brutally forward and crush any resistance you may encounter. Our main goal is this area. Intel suggests there to be a large weed plantation. One group will secure the plantation itself, while the other will defend the surrounding area and defeat possible counterattacks. Is that clear? Any questions? All right, all who pulled an A letter, you're on me. We'll move in 10.
I better get going then. See you on the other side, Rodney.
Good luck, man.
With that, it was finally time to gear up and move out. Most of the sports combat uniforms were comprised of old American football gear reinforced with scrap metal, and a shield for elite units. However, not everyone had this privilege, as more than half of the members had to settle for inline skating equipment, which left most of their vulnerable bodies exposed to the elements and gunfire. But it would have to do. Their armaments were comprised of an assortment of weapons. For the elite soldiers like Rodney, an old typewriter submachine gun was issued. For experienced troopers, a Garand rifle was handed out. The rest had to settle for high-power pistols, and some only with baseball bats. Not the best against the Heer's reliable Gavir or the Five Oaks solid grease gun, but it would have to do. Suited up, the members hurried to their cars, motorcycles, bicycles, skateboards, and shoes. Mainly shoes. Not the most mechanized force, but it would have to do. Rodney had the luxury of getting an ATV, right behind their group's leader, James.
All right, everybody, let's fry us some sauerkraut. Follow me!
And so, the long drive, or walk to the Pommern Woods began. This was it. Finally. After months of skirmishes with the opposing factions, the boiling point was finally reached. War was nearing at a breakneck speed. It wouldn't be long until the fate of Kandrid was decided and forever changed. Rodney was itching for a fight against those who had denied the sports the freedom and liberty to rule the city and do whatever they want. This oppression would finally come to an end today. No more being treated as lesser, no more rules, no more authority. For years, those exact things had tormented him, and now he was looking directly at it and smiled with a vengeful grin. Soon, the group arrived at the edge of the Pommern Woods and dismounted from their vehicles.
All right, the resort ain't far now. Andrew, take some men and secure our flank once we're in the woods. The rest comes with me. Remember, do not make a sound and move slowly. Make yourself as small as possible and spread out into smaller groups. Everybody ready? Let's go!
Without further ado, they enter the lion's den. Everything was quiet, suspiciously quiet. There was no wind, no singing birds, not even the ground beneath their boots made as much as a peep. With their guns at the ready, they scanned their surroundings. Nothing. Only greens and browns and... Wait. What was that? Oh, just a squirrel. Whew. The little creature almost gave all of the sports a heart attack, but still they wandered on, taking cover behind the trees every so often, and stopping as much as they could to look around for any signs of danger. Then a crack from the right side. Rodney aimed his weapon at the origin of the sound. Nothing. He lowered his weapon again.
Ambush!
A firework rocket had struck 2 sports members, knocking them out cold. With the panic building, the others quickly headed for cover. Rodney looked around and saw movement in the green. There was an MG position.
MG-34, setting up! 12 o'clock! I'm going for it!
Covering fire!
Rodney threw his SMG over his shoulder and got his shield off his back, as well as his baseball bat, before charging full steam ahead at the improvised trench line set up by the Jaeger infantry. The MG began firing, the pellets easily bouncing off Rodney's shield. He raced towards them and threw his bat into the face of one of the Jaeger, before jumping into the trench and kicking his comrade in the head, knocking both out. Rodney takes a deep breath before calling the others.
Clear!
All groups, forward!
He then takes another look at the machine gun behind him, and with a smirk forming in his face, he picked it up as he put his shield onto his back once again.
Thanks, Jerry.
Another rocket hit the sports, knocking out 2 more members.
10 o'clock! Get him!
The others had now spotted the culprit, who decided to ditch and run deeper into the woods. The sports began their pursuit, eventually finding him in a small trench with 2 more Jaeger by his side, all opening fire with their scoped Geweers at the group.
Fire line! We need fire bombs!
One of the designated boom masters grabbed a firebomb out of his rucksack, lit it on fire, and threw it towards the enemy trench, barely missing it by a few centimeters.
No! Don't let them get away! Forward! Move! Move!
Another MG! Get your face in the dirt!
No, don't stop! We need to take out that mortar! Use your shields! Stay behind someone who has one if you don't got one yourself!
The elite sports do as ordered, except Rodney, who was too busy raining down his MG fire himself as he led the charge up the hill, where a group of 10 Jaegers had set up position. Another firebomb was thrown at the line, making the stationed Jaeger pick up their feet and scatter to a safer position. But they were only safe for a short while, as the sports engaged them in close combat. Rodney punched one of them, before another one tried to subdue him by shocking him out, but he quickly was thrown off Rodney's back. As the sports were storming the hill, a few more Jaeger arrived at the scene, and the fight was on. Using whatever they could use as melee weapons, the 2 opposing factions traded blows to one another. For every Jaeger the sports were able to knock out, they would trade for 2 or 3 of their own troops. The hardened Germans easily overpowered the weaker posh kids, while against the stronger jocks they faced some troubles, especially Rodney, who at this point had knocked out 4 more Jaeger by himself in the fight. Now the mortar team also joined combat, their battle spades raised and ready to take out as many sports as possible. However, this was short-lived. After taking out 2 sports, Rodney tackled them both and knocked them out as well. With their numbers dwindling, the remaining Jaeger began to run deeper into the woods, the sports giving chase, much angrier than before. In the resort, meanwhile, Sofia was looking on into the woods from the veranda, hearing the shots in the distance. Her expression was that of utter shock and disbelief.
They did it. They actually did it.
Ricky, who was standing beside her, patted her on the shoulder, himself being in no better condition. On the opposite end of the veranda, Albert stood, binoculars focused on the forest ahead.
And I was hoping we had more time.
I just hope our defenses can hold.
They must. Otherwise, we're all done for. We just need to hold them off as long as we can. The cavalry should be arriving soon.
What cavalry?
You'll see it when it gets here. It's a little something we've been brewing up for the last couple of months. I'm sure you'll like it.
But how are they gonna come here? You said Blucher was under siege.
That it is. But not for long.
Albert? Albert, you copy?
Copy, Lieutenant Rudolph. What's the situation?
The first layer has fallen. We're suffering some knockout. We're retreating to layer 2 right now.
Understood, Lieutenant. I'll tell Layer 2 that you're inbound.
What's happening?
The first defensive layer has been broken. At least the Jaeger bought us some time. Prepare yourself for battle. The sports may be here soon.
Right. Come on, boss. Follow me.
Ricky, with Sofia in tow, headed to grab a Gavir for himself and her. The rest of the resort was in complete panic, with the remaining Heer Soldaten at the defensive lines trying to calm the members down, which, as expected, yielded no positive results.
Here! You ever use one of these?
No, only pistols.
Well, there's no time for training now. Come on, we'll go to the wall. We're gonna have a good line of sight there.
Now up on the wall, Ricky began to scan the area for contacts, while Sofia awkwardly fidgeted with the Gavir.
Be ready. They'll be coming for us soon.
She clumsily loosens her grip on the weapon and lets it drop. She scrambled to pick it up again before smiling at Ricky with a bit of embarrassment forming on her face. Ricky shook his head before returning his attention back onto the forest.
General, we're falling back to the resort. Hauptmann Fritz is knocked out. When are the reinforcements gonna be here?
Not long now. They're almost here. Hang in there, Rudolph. That's an order.
You hold my hand.
Mayor Uwe, do you hear me?
Loud and clear, Herr General.
I just got word from our men that they're falling back to your position, so watch your shots.
Understood.
Don't forget, Uwe. You're the last line of defense before the resort. The reinforcements are gonna be with you any minute now, so I need you to hold tight.
I will, Herr General. It's an honor serving with you, Albert.
Likewise, Uwe. Now get your men ready. This'll be over soon.
Albert, expecting the worst and not wanting to go down without fighting alongside his men, grabbed his Mauser pistol out of his desk and put on his M56 Stahlhelm before heading outside to join the defenders, who had readied themselves on the wall. Back on the front, meanwhile, the retreated Soldaten and Jaeger came rushing out of the woods, the sports just a breathing distance away.
Don't stop! We're nearly at the resort! Rush! All groups, scissor formation! We're approaching the resort!
Once their allies had reached the safety of the line, they, along with the defenders from the walls, opened fire on the sports, giving them a barrage like never before and tore through their numbers easily, knocking out around 15 sports in its opening. The remaining sports quickly hit the floor, desperate for any kind of cover, as they had reached the clearing. There was no way out. They were pinned.
Ugh! Kraut's got us good.
James! Pick up for crying out loud!
Copy, Nicole! What is it?
It's the Krauts. They're coming from the east. They have tanks.
What?
We can't hold them. We need to abort now.
We can't abort now. We're too close. Hold the line. You hear me? Hold the line! Hello? Nicole? Nicole! Do you copy? Crud! Shields up! Bunker busters! Get ready! Go! Go! Go!
Go! Come on!
With a war cry, the sports ran towards the wall, past the defenders, seemingly ignoring the pain coming from the shower of metal BB pebbles hitting them. The bunker busters readied their weapons and opened fire on the main gate, destroying it and causing the defenders near it to get shaken up. The sports rushed into the resort and the final battle began. Opening with a barrage from Rodney's stolen MG onto Heer Soldaten and a few 2000s volunteers who had taken up arms. It wasn't long until they were knocked out, but one soldat tried to subdue Rodney by charging headfirst into him, stunning him shortly before trying to beat him. But Rodney gained the upper hand, threw the soldat to the ground and stomped on his arm, breaking it. Meanwhile, the other sports were fighting for dear life as the Heer Soldaten, who had just been in the trenches outside, stormed back in to face their enemies. Nothing was off limits anymore. Bottles were thrown into heads, rocks bashed into faces, and sticks breaking bones. It was a nightmare, and at its center stood Rodney. A pebble hit his helmet. He turned to see a scarred Sofia aiming the gewehr at him with shaky hands.
There you are, little pig.
Sofia fired again and again, but there was no stopping the Titan from grabbing her by the throat and throwing her to the ground, making her hold her head in pain. But then, just before Rodney could do much more, Ricky snuck up above him on the wall.
You're the pig!
With a scream, he pounced onto Rodney and tackled him to the ground. We cut back to Sofia, now dazed, afraid, and terrified of what had become of her place of refuge from the very people out to get her and her friends. She looked to see her protectors and attackers fighting. Some of the few things she could make out in the chaos was a firebomb being thrown, who landed right beside a soldat. The flames began to climb up on him, and he began screaming like there was no tomorrow, before running towards the lake to put himself out. She could also make out Mabel, Ian, and Marley lying on the ground unconscious and bruised. The final thing she could see was Albert and James having a hand-to-hand fight, with Albert seemingly gaining the upper hand on him. She then looked back to see Ricky being choked and punched by Rodney. Seeing her best friend in peril, a rush of adrenaline began to pump through her veins, which made her get up, grab the rifle, and charge at Rodney to strike him with the butt of her weapon. She managed to get a hit in, but not before being punched by Rodney in the stomach, knocking her to the ground. Just then, a spade hit Rodney on the head, dazing him. Then, someone grabbed his shoulder and turned him around. It was a Stoßtruppler. Rodney's eyes widened as the Truppler cocked his head, ripped off Rodney's helmet, and then punched him straight in the face. As Rodney hit the ground, he saw a Panzer 10K rolling into the resort. The reinforcements had arrived. All was lost. The Panzer opened fire at the few sports standing in the open, with its coaxial MG as more Strasstruppen joined in the fight, their STGs raised and ready. Then, the Truppler attacking Rodney took another swing at him, which landed. But, when he tried it again, Rodney struck back and kicked him, making him stumble and fall onto the ground beside him. Rodney quickly got up and looked at the unfolding situation in front of him with an agape mouth and wide eyes. He then looked down at Ricky, who was laughing and smiling at him, his face covered in marks and bruises.
Hey, Phillips. Run.
That said, Rodney didn't hesitate and ran, the Strasstruppler pursuing him. He bolted past the soldier 10 and tried to make a break for it with some of his comrades, who had the same idea. The Panzer, meanwhile, turned its tower and took aim. Just as the sports were able to reach the safety of the woods, it fired a rocket, knocking out 3 members, only leaving 5 to run away, but not without taking some hits from the incoming BB pebbles. Back at the resort, we see Sofia slowly getting back up, while holding her belly before offering Ricky her hand.
Are you all right?
I'm fine. You know, today I realized that I love the German people.
Yeah.
Stop, please! We surrender! Please, no! I got a girl at home that needs me!
This is probably the best decision you made today, my friends. Get in line, and keep those hands where I can see them.
I should beat them all into a pulp for what they've done. Are you happy now, you rats? Are you happy?
Hey, easy.
You're lucky we don't use real guns, you maggots!
Ricky, calm down, please.
Where's my drum set? I'm gonna kill them if they busted it.
You okay?
I think so. How about you?
Well, I'll live.
Did we win?
Judging by us having this conversation, I believe we have.
How many got hurt?
I don't know yet. I'm probably gonna send some more scouts out later to pick up whoever's unconscious. Those boys saved us. They bought enough time. I think I may need to order some more medals. I'm sorry this had to happen, Sofia. I really am.
Albert, you don't have to apologize. You saved us. Thank you.
No problem, Sofia. Always happy to help out.
A makeshift Kubelwagen drove into the resort. None other than Erwin and another General Gebhardt were sitting in it. Albert saluted the two, with them saluting back.
Looks like you made quite the catch today, huh? Blucher's secure. They tried to take Warren, Schwerin, and Wismar, but they ran once they saw our tanks. Then we moved in to crush their flank security here.
What a pathetic display.
Well, I think you would be scared to death too if you saw a tank rolling towards you with no anti-armor to speak of, Herr Infantry General.
In your dreams.
Now, if you'll excuse us, we got some bully beating to do. Oh, one final thing, Sofia. Wilhelm sends his love and regards.
What a charmer, sending me his army as a gift.
Udo, get us to a spot where we can watch the fireworks over the fracture yard. Jawohl, mein General.
They drive away. As soon as they did so, Paula arrived at the scene, shaking up, but unharmed.
Are they gone?
Not quite, but they can't harm you now.
What's gonna happen to them?
We're gonna keep them here for a bit, and after the smoke is cleared, we'll send them away. I don't think they're gonna have anything to return to anyway, once the others are done with their base.
I'm relieved.
You over there! I remember you! You sold us out! I'll make you pay for this!
Shut up.
Don't listen to him. Nobody's gonna hurt you.
Say, Paula, right? What are you gonna do now?
Can I maybe stay here with you guys? I'll work. I can do some, bartending, maybe, if you need one.
Of course you can stay. We'd love to have you on board.
Really? Thanks. And Albert. Thank you for keeping your promise.
Don't mention it, Paula.
We follow Rodney back on his way to the stadium. He had noticed that, as he neared it, that a large cloud of smoke had begun to cover the area. This was no coincidence, because just as he arrived in the stadium itself, he saw the buildings having taken on damage, the makeshift ones turned into nothing but piles of rubble. He and the rest of the escapees headed deeper into the HQ, where they found Jolene sitting in the middle of it. She raised her head at them, her eyes red and her makeup ruined by the tears she had cried. For at least 2 of those who returned, it was over, so they left, never to return again, while Rodney could do nothing but fall to his knees and stare at the destruction.